If there was an animal mascot for the 2000s, it would be the penguin. The bloody things were everywhere. Morgan Freeman talked about them in a dramatic voice in documentaries, foreshadowing when bad things were about to happen, like a benevolent Mr. On. Penguins danced, surfed, got hassled by giant walruses in dreams, and became international jet-setting fugitives. If you went into any Build-A-Bear in 2008, one of the creatures on offer would be a penguin. And on the internet, we were actively encouraged to waddle around and meet new friends. Now, there's some really excellent video essays on YouTube about why penguins were all over the place across the decade. They connect the public's sudden penguin obsession to things like an increased global awareness of the climate crisis and the fact that penguins' ability to walk upright makes them easy to anthropomorphise. Thorough research has been put into these video essays. They're entertaining, they're educational, and they really explain why everybody was just penguin mad for 10 years. But that's not the kind of thing we do on this show, so here's a video about a Flash game that jumped in on the penguin craze for clicks. There were a number of different websites that people could play Flash games on. There were portals like Miniclip, Puff Games and Keezy, and there were developers' websites like Armour Games, Nitrome and Congregate. But one of my favourite places to find new games was the simplistically named Penguin Games. Specifically, it's penguingames.info, a top-level domain that's ironically uninformative. Penguin Games is a website whose entire catalogue consists of games about penguins. It was the only thing that they did. If the game had a penguin in it, it was eligible for a place on Penguin Games. Whether you wanted to play as a penguin while playing as a penguin, there was a game for you. You didn't even need to feature penguins that heavily if you didn't want to. I've covered some of the games I discovered on Penguin Games before, in the dark times, but I've probably played them all over the years, and there's some I go back to frequently. Polar Rescue, When Penguins Attack 3, Conquer Antarctica, they're all pretty good games. But I also go back to a game that's a lot simpler. The Penguin, no, not the penguin, the Pinguin, with an I, Penguin, is one of those infinite scrolling platformers where you have to jump up a tower. I don't know if games like this have a specific name. You could call them Doodle Jump clones, but the Penguin might be a year older than Doodle Jump. So that doesn't feel right to me. It would be like calling Wolfenstein a Doom clone. But it gets the point across. You move side to side, you jump up, land on the platforms, collect the collectibles, and try to last as long as you can until the screen catches up with you. And that's about it. There's some small other elements to the gameplay. There's a thing about sliding on the ice to make your jumps higher, and there's the world's loudest springs that send you flying off the screen and sometimes to your doom, but that's it. Critics and audiences really admired Doodle Jump for its simplicity when it released, and it still has power-ups, enemies, a combat mechanic, and different types of platforms to land on. This means that the Penguin is so unbelievably simple that it's more simple than a deliberately minimalist game that was designed to be as accessible as possible. And other than that, there's not really much more of substance to talk about. There's the logo, which is just the logo for the Penguins of Madagascar TV show. There's the fact that despite being a Polish game, the Polish word for penguin isn't penguin, so I've got no idea where that title came from. There's the game's momentum mechanic, which is a pretty cool way of making the game more skill-based, but even that seems to be a bit random. Sometimes you jump really high, sometimes you barely clear the normal jump height. I don't understand it. I don't even know if it works properly. Maybe the instructions are lying. It wouldn't be the first time a Flash game's instructions just lied to you. The only thing that we've got left to talk about is the reason that I decided to make a video about the Penguin in the first place. Let's talk about the music. Way back in Smart Casual Gaming episode 2, I said that the title screen music for Fat Cat, another Flash game, a Nitrome classic, was way more nostalgic for me than music from The Legend of Zelda or Halo. and it's exactly the same with the Penguin. This is impressive, as the music for the Penguin sounds like this. A 16-second loop is all the music that the Penguin has, and yet it's catchy enough to get me to keep coming back to the game. I first played this game 15 years ago, and if it wasn't for the music, I don't think I'd have come back to it more than a couple of times. But the music of the Penguin genuinely means enough to me that when Flash Player was discontinued in 2020, before Penguin Games started using the Ruffle emulator, I spent over an hour learning how to extract and download SWF files so I could play the Penguin. It wasn't available on Blue Maximum's Flashpoint yet. It might still not be. I'm using a version that's years out of date at this point. And I did all this to hear a repetitive music loop that was probably just blagged from someone's SoundCloud or downloaded from a stock music website. I have tried to search for it using YouTube's search by audio, but that's brought up some Imagine Dragons song I've never heard of. Like seemingly every other bloody video I cover on this channel, the Penguin is not a great game, really. It's really simplistic. Better made games with more to do are easier to find. It doesn't really do anything to stand out, and it's selling itself with nothing but a title that's mildly amusing to say and a catchy 16-second music loop. But I still remember it. I still play it, over a decade after the Penguin zeitgeist ended. There's some sort of lesson in this, I think. It shows that even the smallest thing can make a piece of media meaningful for somebody, and that you never know which of your silly little projects might stick with somebody. Or you could interpret this as nostalgia blinds you, and the things you liked as a kid are often really, really bad. Which is honestly just as valid.